Well, Republican voters have made now convicted felon Donald Trump their nominee for president this year. And as a result, we have a rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, now a convicted felon. The election is mere months away, and now is as good a time really as any to talk about who Donald Trump might select as his vice presidential pick. And of course, we all know that it's going to be Sarah Palin. Just kidding. No, it's not going to be Palin. But the truth is, the real short list isn't that much better than Sarah Palin. And it is a list that continues to evolve. Trump says he has decided, although he hasn't yet told that person. And the person that Trump has in mind today is almost certainly different than whoever Donald Trump was thinking of 6 months ago, mostly because Donald Trump's opinions are often guided by what the last person he spoke to said to him. So I'm going to go through and first give you some background on what Trump is likely looking for, and then I'll go through a list of names that others have speculated are on the short list. I'll tell you who I don't think will make the cut, and then we will look at what really does appear to be the short list at this point. Now, I don't have any inside information that you don't, but we've compiled everything that we do know. Maybe Trump's vice president will be someone completely unexpected that doesn't even get mentioned here. But what I can guarantee is that whoever Trump chooses will either be a dangerous MAGA lunatic or someone who will not get in the way of Trump continuing to be a dangerous MAGA lunatic. That's called loyalty, according to Trump. And we're going to talk about that. But let's start more generally with what is Donald Trump looking for in a vice president. Donald Trump Jr. says that his father is looking for a fighter, someone willing to show up at Trump's trials, defend him. Doug Bergam, Vivek Ramaswamy, Rick Scott, J.D. Vance actually did show up at one of Donald Trump's trials, the first criminal trial. Trump wants someone who not only says that they are loyal, but also someone who's willing to really publicly show the extent of their loyalty. And by loyalty, of course, we mean unfettered, unrestricted, unending, brown-nosing, and sycophancy. Now, Trump kind of learned from his mistake of selecting Mike Pence as his running mate in 2016. He's not going to pick the kind of person who will certify the election results when Trump loses to Joe Biden, if that happens in 2024, the way it did in 2020. Very much the opposite. Trump wants someone who's going to be a doormat, who will never stand in Trump's way, who will never say, you know, the Constitution doesn't really allow for me to do the thing you want me to do. No matter how much Trump wants authoritarian, anti-democratic actions or statements from his vice president, he wants someone who is not going to say, maybe this isn't something that we should be doing. And loyalty, as Trump defines it, is one of the most important things, maybe the most important thing. And some have speculated, oh, Trump wants a woman, he wants a person of color. Maybe. Trump is, I'm sure, willing to consider how that would make him look from an optics standpoint. At one point, he said he will be choosing a woman. I don't think that that's actually going to be the case. But loyalty, as defined by MAGA and Trump, is the number one thing Trump is looking for. Additionally, he would like someone, you would think, who helps him win votes that he otherwise wouldn't get on his own. And we're going to get to that a little bit later. But this now gets us to who it almost certainly is not going to be. A bunch of names have been floated over the last 6, 9, 12 months that I just don't think have a real shot at being Donald Trump's running mates. For example, Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic Congresswoman turned MAGA acolyte. I don't think she has a shot. She is too much of a transparent grifter. If I were Trump, I would have real concerns that if I pick Tulsi, she won't really be loyal to me in the way that Trump wants the VP to be loyal. Trump likely wants someone more ideological, a true believer. Tulsi's not really motivated by MAGA. She's motivated by where is her bread going to be buttered? Self-interest. And Trump is also motivated by self-interest. So that's a conflict. Trump needs someone motivated by wanting to be close to power, power being Trump. That's not exclusively Tulsi. Tulsi really feels like she just kind of picked, what can I do? What sort of set of positions and alliances and loyalties can I publicly align myself with such that I will be able to put a new lease on my failed presidential run back from 2020. So I don't think it's going to be Tulsi. Similarly, I don't think it's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene. In some ways, Marjorie Taylor Greene is an obvious choice to be Donald Trump's VP because she is loyal. She is perhaps, I don't know, one of the biggest Trump sycophants ever elected to office. But Trump seems to know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is too polarizing, has a ton of baggage, might be completely out of her mind. Trump wants someone ideologically committed like Greene, but a little more low-key. Trump also doesn't want the attention going to his VP. As I said, Trump wants a doormat, both in terms of standing by Trump, but also in terms of not taking attention away from Trump. Trump really wants the attention himself, and attention does seem to follow Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was a period of time where Tucker Carlson was being discussed as a possible Trump VP, and some people may have forgotten that in the aftermath of January 6th, Tucker privately trashed Donald Trump in that series of leaked text messages where Tucker said that he, quote, hates him passionately. He couldn't more look forward to when he never has to talk about Trump again. And of course, since then, Tucker has started to play nice with Trump. He's done softball interviews. They hang out, I think, at that Saudi Arabian golf tournament, and maybe even at UFC they've gone to together. Loyalty is the most important thing for Trump, especially in the context of January 6th. So more than likely, Tucker is disqualified because at least for a little while there, he seemed to tell his real opinion about Trump in those text messages, which is he despises him. What about someone like Katie Britt? Now, if you're kind of like Katie who? Katie Britt delivered that bizarre State of the Union rebuttal with the totally affected voice. The fundy baby voice that some people said is the way that people in cults speak. Anyway, a bunch of people after Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt delivered that strange rebuttal said, oh, she's on Trump's short list. There's so much of her about her that Donald Trump would like. I actually think Trump would find it very difficult to stomach Katie Britt. And to be honest, I don't blame him because she's vile. And I don't think she ever was a serious contender. Now let's talk about Carrie Lake. Bottom line, Carrie Lake is a loser, okay? No matter how much she may cope, she lost to Katie Hobbs. Lake arguably would have had a shot at being picked as Trump's VP if she had won in 2022 and become a winner. But as it stands, she seems like a very far-fetched choice. By the way, she's also running her own campaign right now for Senate, so she'd have to drop out of that to be Trump's running mate. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem likely. And she is a loser. And as Trump defines losers, he doesn't like them. What about Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley could be a great choice from a strategic perspective. The bulk of the non-Trump primary vote went to Nikki Haley. So if you're looking for additional voters, it would seem like a natural choice to consider Nikki Haley. But there's just way too much bad blood there. She definitely doesn't meet Trump's loyalty litmus test. I doubt that she has not suffered. I doubt that she has been subjected to. In a sense, it would be suffering. I don't think she's been subjected to any more than the most sort of superficial consideration. And even if she were offered VP, I don't know for sure that she would say yes. She probably would. Most people would if offered the chance to be VP. But the fact that it's not completely clear that he would definitely raises some questions. This now brings us to Christy Gome. Do I really need to explain this one? Now, in fairness to Christy Gome, she was once widely reported to be at the top of Trump's shortlist. But even the Republican Party isn't bloodthirsty enough to put a literal dog killer. Was it a puppy? I think it was 14 months old. Technically, I don't think that's a puppy. Some people call her a puppy killer. Certainly a dog killer. I don't think that even Republicans would want her on their ticket or want to vote for her. And of course, her claim to have met with Kim Jong-un, which is an obvious lie. It was in her book, then she removed it. She won't talk about why. That would also attract unwanted scrutiny if Trump picked her. Trump seems to know, and he has said in interviews, she was doing really well until all of a sudden this happened. Maybe she's under consideration for a cabinet position, but if she's actually selected as VP, it would be a major political blunder, sort of like when the late Senator John McCain selected Sarah Palin. Major mistake. So let's now get to a different sort of selection. What about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? There's been lots of speculation that Trump will pick RFK because from a strategy perspective, RFK seems to take more from Trump than he does from Biden. And if Trump picked RFK, the voters that RFK takes from Trump, he gets back. And maybe it's an indirect way for Trump to get some Biden voters who prefer RFK as well. But I don't think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. really has any interest in being Trump's VP. He has claimed publicly that emissaries from Trump's campaign asked him to be VP or said, would you want to be VP? Trump staff have denied it, which I think they'd deny even if it were true, which it very much might be. RFK likely would have dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump by now if his plan was to become Trump's VP. This now brings us to Vivek Ramaswamy. I do believe Vivek will have a role in the Trump administration because he has become an excellent suck-up, just an unflinching brown-noser to Trump. But Vivek is not going to be Trump's VP. The more people saw of Vivek, the less they liked him, according to public opinion polls. Vivek is loyal, or at least he's become loyal. He is well-spoken, but he hasn't really been tested when it comes to his loyalty. He's trying a little too hard. He's veered into extremism. He said January 6th was an inside job. And even if Trump kind of likes that idea, it could become a liability for Trump, sort of the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene would be to pick Vivek Ramaswamy. So I don't think we've seen the last of Vivek, but I don't think he's going to be Trump's VP. So those are the main people that have been mentioned that I don't think will be VP. A lot of other names have been thrown around: Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, Greg Abbott, Elise Stefanik, Marsha Blackburn, Glenn Youngkin, Byron Donalds, Nancy Mace, Rick Scott. I don't think any of these people have the it factor. So let me know if you disagree on the no list. Now let's discuss who might actually be on Trump's shortlist. Now let me briefly mention, it seems as though Byron Donalds was being vetted, but then more recently, it doesn't seem like he's really on the short list. So I'm aware of the Byron Donalds thing, but I'm not including him here. Who do I think is really on Trump's short list? Let's start with Doug Bergam. Doug Bergam inspires nothing and is clearly desperate to be Trump's VP. He arguably only ran for president to audition to be Donald Trump's vice president. Doug Bergam is obscenely wealthy. Some estimates say he's a billionaire or hundreds of millions of dollars. That impresses Trump. Like Trump, Bergam is considered a political outsider. He has a background in tech. He sold a software company to Microsoft about 20 years ago. He's the founder of a real estate development firm. So he has this kind of similar personal and professional background to Trump. Bergam and Trump have apparently become friends in recent months to the extent that Trump has friends. And since dropping out of the primary, Bergam has played his cards really well. He's been on message as a surrogate for Trump. He said Biden's a dictator, which is an insane thing to say, but something that Trump loves to hear. And importantly, Bergam's personality couldn't be more anodyne, banal, and boring. And so Trump probably would view Bergam as reliable, a rich guy like me, low drama, and he won't get any attention. Bergam's not as cartoonishly as sycophant in the way that Vivek Ramaswamy is, but he's loyal. And Trump has remarked, I didn't know this. He was a supporter of my two campaigns. He's a very rich man. So Bergam's loyal, he's rich, and he's extremely boring, which would appeal to Donald Trump. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders wins the award for most underrated Trump VP pick. She's the total package for MAGA world, except for one thing. I know you know what it is. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is unquestionably devoted to MAGA. She served in Trump's administration for a few years as his longest-serving White House press secretary. Trump clearly believes she represents him well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept her around for that long. And unlike Carrie Lake, Sarah is a winner. She became governor of Arkansas while running on a MAGA agenda and with a Trump endorsement. She's absolutely loyal. She's never said a critical word about Trump. She seems to be a true believer in MAGA. Now, at the same time, she's more low-key compared to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She tends to stay out of the limelight. She's a woman, which Trump has said he would be interested in. Now, I know what you might say. She doesn't exactly have the look for Trump, the physical appearance. Trump has certain, shall we call them, expectations about how women should look. But she's lost a bunch of weight in recent years, which I think is important to Trump. And on top of being a devoted MAGA sycophant, she comes from a Republican political dynasty of her own. Her father, Mike Huckabee, is also a deranged Trump cultist who was governor of Arkansas and has run for president a couple times. So I think Trump respects dynasty, and it would make Sarah Huckabee Sanders a little more relatable to him and a little more trustworthy. This gets us to Marco Rubio. Now, I know you must be thinking, Trump will never pick little Marco. He fails Trump's loyalty test. Not necessarily. It is true that Marco was very critical of Trump during the 2016 primary, but during Trump's presidency, he supported just about everything that Trump did. During the 2016 primary, Rubio insulted Trump's physical appearance and said that if he hadn't inherited his father's millions, he'd be on the street corner selling watches. He's called Trump a con artist. He said he's unqualified to be president. Rubio condemned Trump after the Access Hollywood scandal and said no one should talk to women this way. But then later he said he regretted the insults. And since then, he's been a reliable, loyal Trump surrogate, endorsed Trump in 2016, and was active in supporting Trump. He had the unofficial title as virtual Secretary of State for Latin America, given his Hispanic roots. So Trump may have some doubts about Rubio, but he's arguably the biggest get. He's a fluent Spanish speaker. He could be a valuable asset. Son of immigrants, could legitimize Trump's border policy. However, it's been brought up that you, quote, can't have a president and VP from the same state. But that's actually not true. We talked about this on the bonus show. If Rubio and Trump both reside in Florida as of November, there's this obscure rule that would make them split up Florida's electoral votes between them. But you can easily remedy that by Trump changing his residency back to New York. This gets us to J.D. Vance. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is being vetted. He's reportedly on the short list. Total Trump suck-up, but it wasn't always this way. In 2016, Vance was an outspoken critic of Trump. In 2016, Vance wrote in USA Today, Trump's actual policy proposals, such as they are, range from immoral to absurd. He's called Trump noxious, reprehensible, even once compared him to Hitler. Nonetheless, much like Tulsi, Vance has become a total MAGA grifter. He apologized to Trump for criticizing him. He reiterated many of Trump's false claims about the election being stolen. Trump ultimately endorsed Vance, where he referred to him as JP, in his 2022 Senate race. And so, to be honest with you, even though he's reportedly on the short list, I don't know how much of a chance he has, but multiple sources have reported he's being considered. If not VP, he would likely have a role in Trump's administration. And that brings us to Tim Scott. South Carolina Senator, former presidential candidate Tim Scott is also reportedly on Trump's shortlist. Now, as with Rubio and Vance, I have doubts about whether he actually meets Trump's loyalty litmus test. Tim Scott said he believes Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. That's not something that Trump likes. Tim Scott has criticized Trump's response to the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, saying Trump lacked moral authority. Scott criticized Trump's response to Black Lives Matter protests and urged Trump to stop retweeting content in support of white power. But Tim Scott has become a major Trump suck-up. Scott announced he's launching a $14 million voter outreach campaign to minority voters to try to help Trump. So it's possible that Trump likes all of this. It's possible Trump will see value in selecting a black running mate. But as we know with Republican voters, that can be a double-edged sword. So that's the real short list as I see it. Let me know. Am I missing anybody? Who do you think it will be? Email me info@davidpakman.com.